You're tuned into Almost There, where we keep it real about the grind, the hustle, and everything in between. I'm your host, Stacey Rowland, and this is the spot for raw, filtered convos with people who are out here chasing goals, making moves, and figuring it out along the way. So whether you're close to that finish line or just getting started, making that big move for that new job, or honestly in search of some inspiration for that day-to-day grind, you came to the right place. So sit back, vibe with us, like and subscribe, and let's talk about what it really looks like to be almost there.
Hello, hello, and welcome to season 2 of Almost There, the podcast with me, your girl, your host. That's Gail, that Gail, that Gail. See, this is why I need a co-host or someone on the podcast with me, because when I don't have someone here, the way I like to act up is not good for anybody. So I apologize. We're going to try to reel it in for the next 30 minutes. But on behalf of me and the household of me, I apologize in advance, right? If that does not happen. But welcome, welcome to Almost There. Like I said, season 2. Now what? But two. Now what? But two. Now what? But two. Season 2 of Almost There, the podcast with your girl, your host, Stacey Rowland. Oh my goodness, guys. It has been what? 2 months since we've seen each other. A lot has happened. There's been so many changes, so many different shifts and movements that I'm excited to talk to you guys about. And then when we think about our world, right, we're in a new year, new president. We won't talk about that yet, but so many different things have occurred. And I believe season 2 is going to be just bigger and better. Starting with the YouTube channel. If you have not followed it, what are you doing? What are we doing? If we haven't followed it, what's going on? Right? So I need us to follow that, like and comment and subscribe. When the videos are uploaded, you're going to see the full content there. The full interviews from the future episodes that will be released will all be going on YouTube. And maybe this one, right? You may catch this one on YouTube as well. But I just want to say, first and foremost, thank you guys for tuning into this episode. And thank you so much for also tuning in to season 1 and just being a part of my journey. As you can tell, we have a different background this season. We wanted to try something new and just really step it up in terms of the way things look, right? So happy to hear, y'all's feedback on that, and just want to know how it lands. So let me know what you think. But there are some things that will not change with the show. And one of those things is the proverb of the day. As you all know, and maybe haven't missed hearing me say, because I say it every episode, we know, we get it, Stacey, we get it. We will be doing the proverb of the day. So today's proverb of the day comes from Isaiah 43, verse 19. Look, I'm about to do something new. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? And I think for me, that verse truly is the perfect illustration of what I believe 2025 is going to be. And I say that for so many reasons, right? I think as we go into these new years and move forward in life, right? We have these ideas of what we want to see, these hopes, these thoughts of what we are wanting to come to fruition. And a lot of times it really comes down to what God just said, right? Which is, look, it springs forth. Do you not see that I'm doing a new thing? And I think we take it positively, but then there's also the not so cute, not so fun side, right? Which is the fact that when you're stepping into a new year, when you're going into this new transition, sometimes things are not cute. Sometimes things are not sweet. Yeah, it will show you shaggy. It will show you pepper. Yeah, I will be crying. You just never really know. And I say that to say that with the new, sometimes you have to remove the old, whether that's friendships, jobs, relationships. Behold, it springs forth. Do you not see that I am doing a new thing? A new thing, new spaces, new territory. And sometimes, right, the spaces that we occupy, that we dwell in, are too small, compass what it is that God wants to do in our life and what it is that He is so capable of cultivating in our lives. And I'm of the fullest belief that 2025 is going to be a year of expansion. And I know every year, right, we go into church, and if you're like me, right, I'm Nigerian, so you know when we go to when we have New Year's, you're in church on that New Year's, you're not outside. You're not doing faji. You're not partying. You're inside singing "How Great Is My God." Y'all heard those vocals, but anyways, let's reel it back. And like I said, but we're singing double double because we know it's enlargement, it's expansion, right? And I think a lot of times the pastors they give us this word of the year, this thought that we should center our focus on and our prayers on, and those things are great, and I think it's all well and good to have a focal point for your year. But I, as I've gotten older and I've really gotten in touch with reality, right, I've realized how important it is to go beyond the cute catchphrase or the cute word of the year to really understand what does that word mean for me. Meditate on it, think about it. What does expansion mean for me? What does enlarged territories mean for me? What does stability, happiness, peace, what do all these things mean for me, right? Similarly, when you understand what they mean for you, figuring out what is the complete opposite of that. What has to go for that to exist? What is standing in the way of that promise coming to fruition, right? And so when I think about this year and when I think about 2025, and really when I think about this season two of That Girl, Miss Lady, Miss Almost There, the podcast, I think about not only what I believe God is going to do and what I think is going to happen here, the stories that are going to be told, the visions that are going to be made clear, right? And ultimately the inspiration that will be brought about as far as the guests that come onto the show this season. I also think about what has to change for us to get to and for me, full transparency, that might be complacency, right? We can't have the same old production. The same old ring light ain't gonna cut it. Miss Stacy, we might need to invest in a new ring light. There may need to be a camera that might need to be bought this season. And you do that wisely with frugality, understanding that yes, these are expenses that you're undertaking, but you do it understanding that God has called you to something. And as a result of that, who am I not to walk into that? Who am I to say, okay, right now funds are tight, so I'm not going to invest in my business. I'm not going to invest in that property. I'm not going to invest in my TikTok dream. I'm not going to invest in my career. I'm not going to invest in myself and think God is just going to do all the work. Honey, I don't know who I'm talking to, but this year that's not going to cut it. That's not going to cut it. We got to do it's not going to cut it in 2025. Right? The halfway investments are not going to cut it. The semi, I'm going to let God do a majority of the work and I'm just going to dip a toe in and swiggle it around. That's not going to cut it. And so for me, I look at 2025 and I look at the proverb of the day and I think about what was said in Isaiah chapter 43 verse 19, and I think about the fact that God is saying to me, behold, Stacy, do you not see that I am doing a new thing? It springs forth abundantly. And when God brings something into your life, he doesn't bring it halfway. He doesn't bring it missing things. It is brought with fullness. You are sustained, you are complete. It's enough for you, right? And so I'm excited for where this year is going to lead us. I know there's going to be so many hurdles and things that we're going to go through as a community, as a country, as people individually. Understanding that, I'm still hopeful and excited for what God is going to do in our lives and for what we are so capable of accomplishing ourselves. So I just wanted to start with the proverb of the day. And now that we've touched on that, what's been going on? Because I didn't fell back. I had to take a break. I'm sorry. Sometimes you need your rest. You need to take your siesta, go take a nap, you sleep. It's not every day rip and run. It's not every day twist and turn. You're not every day twist and turning. Yo, the way I be spazzing sometimes, this is actually crazy because y'all are really getting an insight into the way my brain thinks right now. This is really me. So we're gonna reel it in effective immediately right now. Okay? All right. So what has been happening Oh, wow. So 2024, I moved, started what I feel like is a new life, a new journey. I started this podcast, and here we are in 2025. And I am what again in a new job, still in the same city. And I feel like I needed that time, right? A lot of times I think we jet into this new year, we jet into the possibilities and the thoughts and the realities of just accomplishing something new. And that is great. That's wonderful. I love that for you. Those of you who like to rip and run, my fast people, my rabbits along the race. Me, I'm a tortoise. Sometimes you take it slow. You know what I mean? But for those of you who like to rip and run, I love that. But I think there's a beauty in taking time to just dissect life. And I've spent the month of January just dissecting life, thinking about where I am and where I want to be. I was on a fast and it was enlightening, right? And I think a lot of times when we get into these new years, when we get into these spaces of unknown, but there's such a big avenue for a fresh start, we don't take the necessary time to pause. And I think the month of January was a pause for me, one that I needed so much, not for myself only personally, but professionally, and one that I think is going to benefit the quality of this show, right? Hopefully, for as long as God willing, I'm able to do it, but ultimately for my life in general. And one thing that I think has really become apparent to me, right, in this month of just being to myself and taking a break from this and from you all, even though I love you guys, is just the need to be patient. And when I say patience, there's so many things that we want to accomplish, so many things that we want to just dive headfirst into that we're excited about. And God will give you a vision, and you yourself, you'll have a vision that you're like, oh, wow, I'm excited. I'm about to do this, I'm about to do that, and the third. But when have you taken the time? And I think this is a question I'm asking, right? And maybe pause the episode to think about it. When have you taken the time to say, is this excitement, which is great, or is this realistic? Have I taken the time to think about all these things truthfully in the entirety to know whether or not I'm making the right decision? And I took the time during these 4 weeks to think about this podcast. Is it something that I just did because I was in a period of transition and change and doesn't make sense for me anymore? Is it something that has a place in this world or in my life? I had to ask myself those questions. I thought about the job that I was in, the job that even brought me to this space, that brought me to DC, that brought me to the DMV area. And I had to ask myself, am I here because it pays the bills? Or am I here because I'm growing and I'm learning? I thought about relationships, family, friends, all those things. And I asked myself, am I showing up to the fullest of my capabilities, knowing what God has given me as far as the gifts that I feel like He's cultivating in my life spiritually? And so many things were revealed to me. And I think it's important that when we go into these new years and when we go into these new spaces and new opportunities in our lives where we're transitioning, that we take a second and we pause and we ask ourselves these questions. You got to be real. Put that mirror up. Are you taking the time to reflect? And a lot of times, if we're real with ourselves, it sucks to hear it's not comfortable, it's not fun, but we're not being real with ourselves. We're not taking accountability. We're not showing up as our best selves. We are in a comfortable space, and it's holding us hostage and stagnant to complacency. And I came out of that fast. I came out of that month of pause from this show, from showing up every week releasing new episodes, trying to figure out how to expand the reach of this podcast. And I realized, yeah, Stace, we're not hitting the mark in a couple different areas. And then you ask yourself, okay, now I've come to the realization of what it is and what it's not. Now what? And I think that's a lot of times where we miss the mark, right? You seek God in clarity, but then do you seek God in direction and strategy? No, because it's easy to say God showed me the answer, but then when it comes to God show me the way, that sucks. It's not comfortable because when he shows you the way, is it going to be something that you want to do? Probably not. Is it going to require you to cut off somebody that you don't want to? Maybe. Are you going to have to leave behind a job and start a new one? Possibly. And all these things are not fun. No one ever said they would be. But my darling, my love, my sweetheart, saying it to myself as well, it is so necessary. And when I think about 2025 and what I believe the success of this year hinges on, I think that it is the responsibility, the audacity to take the responsibility of our lives to say, I'm not going to rely on me. I'm not going to take the comfortable approach. I am going to say, God, take the wheel. Show me the direction. Be my ways. Show me where the traffic stop is at. Show me where that red light is at. Tell me where to stop. And not only tell me where to stop, give me the grace and the wisdom and the spirit of discernment to stop when I need to. And I feel like, for me, that has been what has came out in my spirit and in my heart as I've gone through my 25 days of fasting, as I have taken my time and my pause and my break. And I encourage you, if you're watching this episode, that if you have not taken a break, if you have not taken a pause and a reset, it is not too late to do so. Yes, we are now in February. And when this episode releases, we will be on the first Thursday of February, but that does not matter. It is never too late. It is never too far gone to say, God, show me where I need to go. Stop me before I go too far left. Tell me what's what for me and where I don't need to be. And so I think that takes me to season 2 and ultimately what you all can expect from this season, what I hope to bring to the world. And we're prophesying the world, knowing that the reach may not have been as big as I wanted it to be this year, but believing in God by really just diving headfirst into quality of the show, where this can go, right? So as I said, when I think about a new year, I think about what it can be. A lot of times you go into the new year with new year, new me, this cutesy. I'm going to get into the gym. I'm going to read my Bible every day. 365 days in the Bible. Very cute, very demure. I love that for you. But if we're honest, if we're real, where is the accountability in that? Where is the realisticness in that? A lot of times we commit to these lofty goals and these lofty ideas, which are honorable, right? And there's no shame in that game. But are they real? For where you are in your place in life, are they real? And I want to focus on that. I want to focus on what it looks like to create a healthy lifestyle. I want to focus on what it looks like to create a relationship with God that is sustained, that is cultivated, not because of some cute catchphrase in a new year, new me dream, but is one that is a life shifting, life transforming change. I want to talk about what it looks like to form confidence. When we start these new years, right, we think about what it looks like to show up for ourselves, how we want to cultivate our lives, how we want to transform ourselves from the inside out. We want to say, oh, yeah, when we walk into the party by the summertime, they going to know my name. I'm going to walk in stilettos, popping in the club. But then have you asked yourself how you going to get there? No, it needs to be not on you, but in you. I want to talk about what it looks like to build confidence. When we think about imposter syndrome, when we think about the issues that destroy our personal confidence and ultimately hinder us in Q3 and Q4, right? I want to talk about all those things. And I think this season 2 of the podcast is going to be going beyond New Year, New Me. What does it look like for me, for you, for our community? How do we create realistic change that doesn't just take effect in 2025, but we can look back in 2026, 28, 2030 and say, the small changes that I made this year were the ones that propelled me to be who I wanted to be 3, 4 years, 5 years from now. The ones that I say are going to reflect on how I talk to my children, are going to ultimately direct how I instill their self confidence, how I manage my relationships. all these different things because I think they're important, right? And I look forward to all the guests that are going to come on and give us insight on what it is and how it looks like to do all those different things. And when we think about why this is so important, I think so many of us fall captive to this trap of the new year, new me. And I say that because we get invested in these big goals and then we hit March, Q2, we mess up once or twice, we get a little disparaged, we try to get back on the horse, fall off a couple times and say, I'll try again next year. And then you're back in that same cycle, getting to the end of 25 looking exactly how you look in the beginning of 2024 and at the beginning of 2025. And now I don't know about you, but as for me, my household, I refuse to be stuck in cycles. I refuse to be stuck in waves of looking in the mirror and wishing that I want this to look different. I want this to be better because we are not trees. You can get yourself up, pick up and move and become more like who you want to be. And I think we have everything at our disposal as Black people, as people in general, to be exactly what it is that we want to be. We are in the generation of the most educated, most affluent Black people, right? When we think about our careers, our education, the positions, the jobs that we hold, the Black jobs that we hold, and consider the power that we possess to be exactly who it is that we want to be. And I encourage each and every one of you, if possible, while you're taking a shower, driving your car, on the treadmill, cooking that meal for your man or your girl, turn on an episode of Almost There, the podcast season 2, and tap into the tips and the tricks that our experts are giving you when we think about confidence, when we think about health, when we think about spirituality, and what it looks like to cultivate yourself truly and grow within each of those areas. So when we think about ultimately what I hope this season will accomplish, right? And I want to end this episode here short and sweet for you guys is I hope it will be one that inspires change, one that someone will look back and say, I listened to this and it helped me do that. And I'm excited to be on this journey with you all. I'm excited to walk alongside you guys as well. I'm not perfect. There's so much that I have to do, so much that I have to improve upon. And I see it in myself every day. But as I think about what I believe God is calling me to and what I think He is using this season for, I sit with so much anticipation and excitement for what we are all going to accomplish and do in this year. So here's to season 2 of Almost There, the podcast. Here's to sustain change, happiness, success, wealth, prosperity from the inside out. Because when we think about prosperity, it's not just money. It's not just what's in your bank account. It's not just what's in your 401k. It's prosperity of spirit and mind. Do you have a growth mindset? Are you more glass half full or empty? Here's to changing all that for the better. And here's to having guests on the show that are coming here to inspire us to be better. Inspire me to be better, inspire you to be better. And so thank you so much for tuning in, hopefully to the entirety of season 2, tuning into what we are going to show on the YouTube channel to come, and ultimately maybe being a guest yourself on a future episode. So thank you so much. We're out.